This is Sue from Snake River Stamping. If you haven't met me before, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and we are going to work on a little project tonight. I hope you really like it. I do have a few announcements, a few new things that came in today, in fact, that I didn't know about before. So I wanted to share those things right off the bat with you so you would know about ordering and when would be the best time to order if you're going to order things. Oh, and I wanted to thank, I got like so many more followers on Facebook this week. Tons of new followers. And I want to remind you that also follow me on YouTube. My link to my YouTube page is in my description, and you can jump over there and follow me too, because Facebook does delete my videos. I mean, for everybody, it deletes your stuff after 30 days, and on YouTube it stays forever and ever. So, you know, that's kind of nice if you want to go back and find something or know how to do something. So thank you for all my new followers. I'm like thrilled to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you would like to say something in the chat, I would love that. I try to follow on my Facebook page. I'm going to press the buttons here again. But I don't know why I can never, I'm doing something wrong to see it on my, I have my phone up and I have it to my Facebook page, but I don't know why I don't see my live on my Facebook page, because I can see it on my YouTube page. Anyway, I digress. Welcome to all my followers that I've had for some time, and welcome to my new followers. I certainly appreciate your time, and I hope you'll find that today is well worth your while. So I'm going to switch us down real quick to the desktop. Bonus days is what's coming, and from January 6th, which is when the new catalog goes live January 6th. Okay, so from January 6th to February 2nd, they have this promotion called Bonus Days. So you can shop and earn a $5 coupon for every $50 you spend. And you can stack these coupons, stack, get as many as you like. And then you can spend them in February. So you shop and you earn your coupons for every $50 from January 6th to February 2nd. So almost a full month. There's no limit to how many coupons you can earn. But you need to keep track of those coupons. You know, I would put them in a folder or something when they email you with the little number on it, because they're going to ask you to put the numbers in to redeem those $5 coupons. And when you redeem them, be sure and put a space between each number, okay? So you'll get these little codes, these coupon codes. They'll be emailed to you. So write them down, save them in a folder, whatever, take a picture of them, whatever works for you. And you can redeem them starting February 3rd. So it stops February 2nd, and then you can start redeeming from February 3rd to February 28th. And it says you can redeem as many coupon codes as you want. Remember to separate each code by a space and make sure to use them all before the month is over. Now, you don't have to use them all at once. You can if you want, but you have to use them by the 28th, or then they're void after that. So bonus days with these coupon codes, you earn $5 for every $50 you spend. You still earn your Stampin' Rewards for after you get to $20, you start earning 10% Stampin' Rewards, which you can redeem also. You can stack these things all on top of each other to buy things, and I so hope that you choose me for your demonstrator and that you want to redeem them in my online store, which I have linked below. Don't forget to check Last Chance products. They're under the specials tab. Don't forget about the virtual card retreat, which is January 22nd to the 23rd. Next month, it's it's 7 hours a day from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Mountain Time. So you might have to convert that to whatever time zone you are in. I'm in Pacific time. And so if you're in, it goes Pacific, Mountain, Central, Eastern. Okay, so mine's 1 hour earlier. Mine would start at 1 and end at 8 for me. Okay, so you just convert it to whatever you need for your time zone. And they're going to be making the 15 cards in this time period. Okay, and they're going to send you, it's $165 for if you're in the United States. I'm not sure how much it is in Canada, but it's a little bit more. And they're going to send you all the stuff to make this, okay? It's not just paying for a retreat. You're going to get all the product, okay, to make these cards. So that makes it kind of worth it. I mean, it is expensive, but if you get all the product, that's pretty great. 2 more days in December, if you're ordering today or tomorrow at midnight Mountain Time, is the end of December, where you get the special product of the month, which is this beautiful DSP called Lovely Blue Florals, something like that. I can never remember it. I have to write it down. Anyway, it's this DSP, and I've used it a couple times. I'm going to use it some more, because if they don't sell all of these for the $5, it will roll over to February to also be a product of the month along with February's product of the month, and you'll get to choose which one you want, this one or the next one. All right, so product of the month, you need to spend $75 in one order. That's before tax, before shipping, before using any coupon codes or rewards or anything. And then for only $5 you can buy this paper, and usually a package of Designer Series paper is about $12.95, so that's a good savings there. All right, my December specials. Next week is January, and I'll have all new specials. So this is today and tomorrow, the last days to get my specials for December. At $20, you always start earning your own STAMPIN rewards that you can redeem anytime you want to. At $40, you get 2 sets of die-cut labels, and you get your STAMPIN rewards. The die-cut labels, this is one set of die-cut labels that I cut for you and put them in a bag. You get 2 sets of those, okay, with your $40 order. Your $50 order, you get the 2 sets of die-cut labels, and you get the Traditions of Christmas PDF featuring 2 designs of that. And you can, and the PDF is really flexible. I mean, I used my Christmas paper in it because it was December, but you can substitute any paper in it and use the designs that I give you. Plus you get your 10% STAMPIN rewards. $75 order, you get your 2 sets of die-cut labels, you get your PDF, and you get 2 sets of die-cut greetings. And one set is in gold. You can see these, and they really pop in gold. Okay, and yours will not be on a card. Yours will be in a little cut and in a little baggie. Okay, and you get a white set. Now the white set they're hard to read until you put some ink on them. And what I've been advising is simply to grab one of your brushes and don't put any more ink on it. Oh, that one doesn't have very much ink on it. But if you just use your brush, it's still working. It'll go really light in the background, and it'll pick up the letters, like that one's "Oh Happy Day." I don't know if you can see it there. You can see it a little bit better. You know, and it picks up the raised letters, as you know, if you just put on a little bit of ink. So they'll come white, and you can customize them for whatever color would go with the cards that you're making. Okay. And of course you get your STAMPIN rewards. All qualifying orders are before tax and shipping or coupons that you might have redeemed. Okay. Oh, Here's my measurements for today. I don't want to forget to give those to you. Throw some of this stuff off of the table and throw my measurements right over here so I can get them again. Okay, I wanted to remind you, like, we just finished Christmas, and so it's time for thank you cards, right? And teaching your kids or grandkids to do thank you cards is a really good skill to develop in them. And we sell these adorable little note cards and the matching envelopes. The ones I have very vanilla, but they have, right now they're doing white. They only have white, and I have linked them in my description with the note cards. They're number 159232. They're white. They're $10, and like I said, you get 20 note cards, 20 envelopes, and you can do whatever you want. But I'll tell you what's really cute is to stamp a little bit first and then emboss, and they just look adorable. They're simple. And if you have grandkids, I'll tell you what is even more adorable and what's so appreciated by people is if you just maybe let them pick out a stamped greeting and then color and then emboss. Like I used the snowflake one on this one, and it just turned out so cute. It's really hard to see, but it really turned out cute. Okay, and then I embossed the flap on the envelope. You just need to remember when you're embossing, you take your embossing folder, and your embossing folder has to go in folded edge first. Okay, so all I do is I place my card in here however it's going to fit. See, sometimes they'll fit sideways, but this one is not going to fit sideways, so I put it over like this and fold it and send it through, so it only embosses the front. Okay, I just fold it so the back side, I decided I wanted a bigger snowflake. The back side doesn't get embossed, just the front side. Okay, when you use the embossing folders. So I wanted to just talk to you about that real quick, that we have these available, and they are really, really easy and great to use for thank you cards. So, throw that down there. Okay, so where I got the idea for today's project that we're going to make, I had, my friend gave me this last year, and it was this little folder with notepads in it where I can save stuff that I'm going to do for classes or whatever. But I thought, man, I think I could make that. And so I just went on Amazon and I ordered for Christmas, because I made a bunch of these at Christmas, and I just ordered a bunch of little notepads and then measured them and used this as a template to help me get started, and everybody that I gave these to, they really liked them, and I thought, well, you know, I could make some more of these. They just don't need to be Christmas. So I thought I would share my templates and everything with you, and I wonder, there they are. Here's my templates. So I made this one, and this is Pretty Florals, Dies and Stamps, and Florals and Bloom Designer Series paper, and this is still available. The Florals and Bloom Designer Series paper. It's 165175, and so I made this kind of a springy one, and I used on this the biggest die on what is that one? Mixed Florals, I think. No, which one is it? The one with all the circles. Probably forgot to write that one down. Anyway, I used the biggest die on this one, and I used the stamp set to make the flowers, popped them, did some stamping, did some popping up, put just a note on there, and then I bought some more of these notepads from Amazon, which I have linked in my description, the brand and everything, if you would like to order. My hint to you is order 2 packages, because I think they come 6 to a pack, and I didn't do it on this one, but I did it on the rest of them. Like, this is the next one I made after I did that one. And I figured out if I had 2 packages, I could make them match. And I was just like, why didn't I think of that at first? Well, there was other things I thought of later. Anyway, so I thought, okay, I've got 2 packages, so I can make these 2 match. And it works better if you have 2 in the folder. It just holds together better. And on the front of this one, I used friendly foliage. Yeah, friendly foliage. I used this. I used the stamps, and I used the dies on this to do the friendly foliage and thinking of you. I think I got from that. Yeah, I got thinking of you from that. Okay, and this is Everyday Happiness Designer Series paper, and it is available still. Okay, and it's one of my favorite papers because I just love it. It's really just very user friendly and has lots of different things on it. Okay, then the one I made yesterday, I finally got really smart, and I thought, you know what, it could have a bow on it. I could tie a ribbon around it, just put it underneath the Designer Series paper. And I thought, well, I can put Designer Series paper on the front as well as the back. And curiously enough, Gathering Together, which was a fall paper, is still available. It's still available in the online store, 165969. And I decided I'm going to put it on the front and I'm going to put it on the back so I can put a ribbon underneath it, and they can untie it and easily retie it. And they open it up, and there's their notepads. And these notepads are so useful, just so useful. I love them myself. And I love this ribbon. If you have, they don't have this ribbon anymore. It's retired, but it was like one of my favorite ribbons, and it still is, because it's so lacy and pretty, and it makes the prettiest bows. I just love, love, love it. And then on the front of this, I used branching out dies, okay, which I have linked. And I used Label Me Grateful. I used You're the Best, and I decided to put that because I wanted to pick up, there's gold in this paper. There's old olive and gold. And I wanted to pick up that gold because I put a gold flower here. And so I wanted to pick up the gold, so I embossed this with my Wow gold embossing powder. Put You're the Best, so a little message on there. And if you really wanted to personalize it, of course, on the inside, on the first page, you could write a note to your friend or whoever you're giving this to. So anyway, then I used the traditional label dies. I used these dies, not the messages because those were Christmassy, but these dies are really useful. They fit a lot of different things. So I used those dies. And for the flower, I used Fragrant Layers, and I used this die right here to make this because it has little impressions. Can you see those little impressions on it? and all I had to do was die cut it. I laid it on a piece of old olive so it would really pop out, and I put it up on dimensionals, and we're going to make one of these today. Okay, so those are the things that I was using this week as I made. I got to turn my heater off. I'm getting way over hot. And if I get really hot, then, you know, all is lost. In fact, I better have a drink of water before I pass out. Okay. So this is what we're going to make today, but we're going to use some different paper. Okay. So here is my pattern, and I have this typed up with all these dimensions. I mean, if you want to take a screenshot of this too, that would be fine. So what I did is I took my notepads, and they're 4x8, okay? And so I wanted a little bit of room on each side and a little bit of room top to bottom, okay? So I added, like, I think on side to side, I probably have a 1/4 of an inch. There's an 1/8 of an inch on each side, but top to bottom, it's more like a 1/16 of an inch. Because I didn't want to use my 12x12 cardstock because it is the light and the dark cardstock. I wanted to use the regular cardstock on this that has the same color, doesn't have the white core when you know, I like to use that when I tear things and do some different things, but I wanted to use a regular piece of cardstock. So I started out figuring out, okay, what do I need to do this 4x8, and I'm going to have 2 pieces of this, and I want a center. I need a center, and I need edges to fold in, because on all of mine, if you fold and miter your edges, it makes it a lot stronger than just a raw edge. Now the raw edge I left on the top and the bottom, it didn't really matter, but these side edges, it does matter. You need a stronger edge, okay? So that's what I started with, and a regular piece of cardstock is 8.5 by 11. So as I measured, I started off, I figured out I needed, well, after I added all this up, I figured out I didn't need 8.5, I needed 8 1/4. Okay, so I just had to cut off a 1/4 of an inch off of the, or a 1/4 of an inch off of this side. And this is 11, and this is 8 1/4, okay? So 11 by 8 1/4 is what I've got. And so then I figured out I needed a 3/4 of an inch here, 4 3/8 here, 3/4 of an inch here, 4 3/8 here, and 3/4 of an inch here. And all of that adds up to 11. And that's what I started out with, doing the math. There's probably this algorithm to figure this out, but I had to physically lay it out, measure it, add it up, and I can add fractions, so you know, that part worked out okay. So anyway, that's what I did to figure out my piece. And then I'm going to miter these corners. That's why there's X's in these corners. So you're going to score along the 11-inch side, alongside, you're going to score at 3/4 of an inch, 5 1/8 of an inch, 5 7/8 of an inch, and 10 1/4 of an inch. Those are your score lines that are going to get you where you want to be. So this is what I've got. This is just my pattern that I have. I always need a pattern on stuff like this so that I can look at it and visually see it. And I used a lot of copy paper first before starting on the cardstock to figure out all of the measurements and how it would work out just right. And this center would be big enough to hold 2 of those notepads. Okay, so that's what I did on that. So that's what I did. So now I've got my basic beige, things are going to fall. And I just took my paper trimmer, and first I cut off my 1/4 of an inch, okay, so that along this side, my 8-inch side. So I cut, so this is 8.5 originally. I backed it up to 8 1/4. I just cut off a 1/4 of an inch and took that off, okay. Then I turn it on the long side. See, I need to look at my pattern, okay. And my first score, let's run it into my computer. My first score is at 3/4 of an inch. So park your dark and use your scoring blade and score at 3/4 of an inch. My next score is at 5 1/8. Okay, so I go to 5 1/8 and I score that. Now I want that other 3/4 of an inch, so my next score is 5 7/8. I'm going to put this out because I need it in a second. So 5 7/8 is right up close to the 6. 2 clicks from the 6. 5 7/8. And then my last score is 10 1/4. Or you can flip it around and do a 1/4 on the other side. But if you're just going straight across, it's 10 1/4. Okay? So I have all those scores. And that's what I need. The next thing I need to do is start folding. And I, believe it or not, I cleaned my bone folder. Folding and burnishing along these score lines. And these outside score lines especially need to be burnished really well, because I want them to lay down. I'm going to use glue because glue is a really strong adhesive. I like to use glue. Some people like to use adhesive. If you're Stampin' Seal, if you're going to use Stampin' Seal, use Stampin' Seal Plus. Or if you don't have that, or if you want to be really sure, use tear and tape. Okay, tear and tape will do the job. But glue will do the job too. So I have my corners, these are my edges that are going to make that folder extra strong because it's going to be doubled. But before I glue them down, I'm just going to grab my scissors because remember, I want a miter, which is cutting little pie shapes. Is there a certain size? No. I'm just cutting off pie shapes and things are flying around my craft room as usual. Okay, so back to my really pressing these down good. And you'll be amazed at how quickly this glue will attach. And I'm gonna be fairly generous, but I don't want it to squirt out. Okay, I don't want it to squirt out. If it does, it's clear, but you know. And then I'm gonna press down really good. And in fact, I'm even gonna take my bone folder and I'm gonna press it down really good and try to get a good adherence. And that one is adhered. I don't know if you can see. Can you see it? Okay, and now I'm going to do the other side. Push it down. I'm going to use my bone folder. I'm going to press really hard for just a minute and just really get that adhered. Okay, just like that. Now, I found that it's easier to decorate the front if you have the pads, the notepads in here. All right, and I would definitely use glue because I used tear and tape on one of them and I got it crooked, and once tear and tape's down, tear and tape's down. So I want to be able to wiggle it a little bit. Now these come with magnets on them. Most of them do come with magnets on them because they're intended to like put on fridges and stuff, which would be handy, but I want them to be in the little folder because I want to make this really super cute little folder. And I found out that I was afraid, oh, that's not going to glue to the magnets. But it does. It does glue to the magnets, which is great. So I'm going to smear some on there. Now, I'm looking at my folds here and here and top and bottom. I'm going to turn it a little bit and get it centered. I don't want it to be, I want to leave a little edge here, but I don't want to hit that fold, okay? I do not want to hit that fold. So that went on really well. And when I'm working on the cover, it will adhere, it'll dry. Because I'm using this to keep the folder stacked neatly on this. And so now I'm going to turn this one, turn this to the side. I'm looking at my top and my bottom. I want to get that little, and didn't have that quite even. But luckily with glue, I have a few minutes to wiggle it. Okay, and now I press it down. Now I'm just going to let that dry, and I'm going to close it, and now it keeps this really even because I've got this spine, like a book spine, you know, that I don't want it to collapse. And so since I have the folders or the notepads in there, it won't collapse. So now I have some basic beige for the branching out die number 3, and I count from the outside to the inside, so the largest to the smallest. So this is the 3rd largest branching out die that I'm going to cut, and I've already cut that, and I embossed it, which I did not do on the other ones, and I decided, oh, I really like that embossing. That's quite nice. So I used my embossing folder. Oh, there it is. Okay, set it over here. This is a new one that's coming out January 6th called Beautiful Pattern Embossing Folder. This is a 3D folder, which they forgot to write on here. I found that using this folder, so I wrote myself a note, it is 3D, so that means when you put it on your plates, you're going to use plate number 1. You're going to put this embossing folder in with whatever you're embossing, and when you're going to emboss something that you want to cut a shape out of, cut the shape first, okay? Cut the shape first. So I was using branching out. Cut the shape first and then emboss it. Don't emboss first, because when you run it through to cut the shape, it squishes all the embossing and it barely looks embossed. This folder, remember, you're going to be running through, so I cut my shape first and I'm going to run it through, and I found that this, in my cut and emboss machine, it works so much better if I put some extra paper in there. In fact, I just took an envelope. So that's 2 pieces of really skinny paper, probably skinnier than copy paper. I don't know, maybe. I put 2 pieces just to add a little bit of pressure. And then my emboss piece came out great because you'll use your embossing, your number 4 plate. There's 4 on it somewhere. There it is. Your number 4 plate is your 3D embossing plate. Okay. So if you ever have a folder that it would not go through with 2 clear plates like a regular embossing folder, it would not go through at all. So then so that made me know, I said, well, this has got to be a 3D. And so I ran it through 3D, and of course it went through, but it hardly embossed. I mean, just barely. So that's when I thought, okay, I need to add something. So I just had this envelope sitting there. So I just added the envelope, put the number 4 plate on, and it ran through and it embossed great. I just needed this much more pressure, an envelope. That's all I needed. So I don't know if it's just this folder, the way it is, I don't know. But that's what works for me. So I just wrote myself a note that this is a 3D folder, even though they forgot to put that on here. And add an envelope or, 2 pieces of paper, whatever. Just add a little something to go in there when you emboss it. So I'm using Basic Beige as my main color. And I'm going to show you the paper I'm going to use in just a second. But I don't know if you can see that embossing on there, but it does make it more interesting to have the embossing. And then I got out my dies from the Fragrant Layers, which is also available January 6th. And I'm going to use this die that's in here. Let me show you. I had this cut for something else. It's this die right here. They have the open weave one, the open one, but they have this one, and it has these little cuts in it. You see those little cuts? And it makes these lovely little cuts in the gold foil. And that just look really pretty with my paper, because this paper has gold in it too. And so that's going to go on top of my branching out die number 3. It just fits perfectly on there. Okay, but it doesn't look good against the Basic Beige here, so I've got to add some designer series paper. So I was looking in my designer series paper. Well, actually, I pick my designer series paper first. Always, always, always. Pick my designer series paper, and then I pick my cardstock. So what I wanted to pick is the Kintsugi, which is still available. It's really rather new. The Kintsugi paper, which is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery and things and using gold to make things, put them back together and make them beautiful again. That's what Kintsugi means. And I thought, oh, that would be perfect. So I cut 2 pieces, one for the front and one for the back. All right. And I am going to put it on here. But first, I wanted some ribbon. And I'm so sorry, this ribbon is not available. It is just gorgeous. All my favorite ribbons not available, like that gold wasn't available, but this ribbon is available. And I have this linked gold striped ribbon, which would look just fine, but it's not as wide as this. And I wanted a wider ribbon. And it takes about 30 inches of ribbon approximately, so that you have plenty of room to tie. Okay, so I'm going to cut 30 inches, and I'm going to put the ribbon on because I want it underneath my paper. And I want to put it on, and I want to measure this out so that it's approximately equal, that it's approximately in the center. And because it's going to be underneath the designer series paper, you don't have to be fancy with this. You can just go over to your handy dandy Scotch tape and you can tape this down. Okay. And you do want it to be kind of taut over the spine and kind of straight, and tape that down. So I've got my ribbon on, okay? And I definitely need to put that on before I put on my designer series paper. It's beautiful paper. This side's beautiful too with Misty Moonlight. I love that too. But I decided to do this basic beige, and I looked on my designer series paper and it said, I thought it was very vanilla at first, but then I brought some very vanilla out and it didn't exactly match. So I thought, I better look at the package and see what it is. Well, it was basic beige, and when I brought the basic beige cardstock out, it matched perfectly. So I'm going to put a piece on the front and flip it over, and I'm going to put a piece on the back. And remember, this is 4 1/8 by 8. I don't think I mentioned that, but I have it in my written. It's in my description if you want to look down there, and I have it typed, which you can take a screenshot of in just a moment. So I'm going to put this down. This is the back. Now I'm not going to decorate the back any further, and I'm not going to really decorate the spine. You could do that. Certainly do that. I would lay it flat if I was going to do that before I put anything inside. If I was going to do the spine, because this is 3/4 of an inch, so I'd make a 1/2 inch, and this is 8 1/4 inches, so I do by 8. So I do a 1/2 by an 8 inches to do that. Okay, so then I'm going to pop both of these things up. Bring in my dimensionals. And I just need to put a few dimensionals on the back of these flowers to pop them up. That should do it. It'll hold the rest of them up. And I'm putting it on my branching out die that I have embossed, so that looks pretty. So I put that on. Now I can glue this on, or I can pop it up again. Why not? I mean, everything looks so much better when it's popped up. So I'm gonna always put one in the middle or near the middle because I don't want it to sag. And so you want it to go this way. And I'm just going to put that down. And then I used my traditional labels, and I used Label Me Grateful. I used You're the Best Still. I kept that one. And I'm just going to put this one up here. Now the bottom part's going to be sitting on this. So I only need dimensionals on the top of this so that it'll all be even. Yep, top. And you can put a little glue down there if you want to make sure it stays adhered. But I'm just going to put that kind of diagonally. So dimensionals are over here. A little bit of glue is down here at the bottom under the best, okay? And now with this lovely, lovely ribbon that is so shiny and chic, and just tie a beautiful bow. This is very satiny ribbon. I tighten that up and then I shorten my strings. Okay, and then I just come in with my ribbon scissors. Oops. I cut diagonally. For my ends, and there is a most gorgeous notepad holder for someone. I mean, I think anyone would love to get this as a gift. You can make, once you start making these, start cutting the pieces, and so you can just put them together, and they go really, really fast. That's what I did at Christmas time when I was making the little bit smaller ones. Same process. I just cut each section and made a pile of them and then put them together. So then you open up, and now these notepads have adhered firmly, and they're stuck in there. They're stuck. And like I said, you could write a brief message if this is a happy birthday gift or a thinking of you gift or thank you gift. You know, on one page you could write a nice sweet little note to your friend or your family member, and tie it back up for them. And I just think this makes such a pretty gift. I know the people that I gave them to at Christmas time just loved them. They thanked me. One of my neighbors, I gave her one, and man, she brought us so much food. All these treats. She really liked it. But I think, mostly I think people like to be remembered. I think that's what it is. People like to be remembered and thought of. Okay, let me turn this up because there's a couple other things I want to tell you about. Okay, there we go. All right, so I hope that you really enjoyed, and we'll try to make some of these. And some of the products that I used are older and available right now. The things that are coming out January 6th, I think I put a note by them that you can order them January 6th, so you'll know. And then, of course, January 6th starts the sale, getting bonus coupons, and for every $50 you order, you get a $5 coupon to use in February, so that's a great deal. Okay, a couple things I need to talk to you about is I am going to be madly pre-recording some videos to use the end of January and into February sometime. My goal is to do 8 of them that I can just, I'll have them on my computer and I can just call them up and schedule them to come out. And that's because I'm having 2 surgeries back to back. And I don't think the first one, it's on my foot, I don't think that one's going to slow me down very much as far as making cards go. I mean, I don't know how I'll feel, but anyway, I want to have some videos in the can. So a lot of stuff is going to be pre-recorded from like mid-January on for a while. And then 4 weeks after I have my foot surgery, I tore my rotator cuff 8 months ago, and I've been kind of making do with that. It's on my right arm too, so, and I'm right-handed. That surgery is going to really slow me down because I'll be have to keep my arm immobilized for, I don't even know how long. I can't remember what he said, but at least a month, maybe longer. I don't know. So anyway, so I've got these 2 surgeries coming up back to back. So I'm going to be making some videos that'll be pre-recorded. I'll be posting them at my usual Tuesday 5:30 time. I just need to do this and get things in the can. Now next week I'll be live, and probably the week after that I will be live, because I don't think, I'm looking at my calendar, yeah, I don't think that foot surgery thing is going, my pre-op is January 6th, and so he'll be doing it sometime after January 6th. And he said he usually does surgeries on Thursdays. So it might be that second full week on a Thursday, which is like January, I don't know yet, but 15th, something like that. I'm kind of thinking that's where he's going with that. So that's mid-January for the foot. But like I said, it just depends on how I feel. I just have to like probably elevate my foot or something. I don't know. I have to stay off of it. I have to be non-weight bearing. So I get one of those fancy little scooters, knee scooters, to use for a few weeks with because I can't put any weight on my foot for a while with that procedure. So anyway, so I'll knee scoot around, but I think I will be able to do some classes. But 4 weeks later, when I do the shoulder thing, then that part's going to slow me down a little bit. Anyway, I want to thank all my new followers. I got like 35 new followers, and I just was like, oh, so happy to see that coming in. I hope you will hop on over to YouTube also and follow me there, because that really helps my little algorithm, and all the likes and everything that you get on YouTube. It helps everything. So, and of course, if you need a demonstrator, I'm always here, and I have included all my little links where you can shop with me so easily. Yeah, I know it. And January 6th, the new catalog comes out, and they have new things, and new online specials come out on January 6th, same time. If you live in the Pacific Northwest like I do, in the Pacific time zone, that will start at 11 p.m. on January 5th, actually, because it goes live at midnight Mountain Time, but we are an hour ahead of them, or behind them, so it's like 11 p.m. for us. So anyway, so remember that. And of course, don't forget bonus days and all the little special things that are going on. And I will have new specials for you next week. And I'm getting some exciting things ready for you. I'm excited to share it with you. So I will see you next Tuesday at 5:30, and I hope to see you then. Thank you for joining me.